Hello? Hello. It's going to be a bit of a part two to a video I previously made called I Disagree with Young Don. And in that other video, I kind of looked at some of his content and gave my opinions on the messages and what he was spreading to his audience. I was trying to be as charitable as possible, not trying to misinterpret, give all the context that was necessary. Um, and yeah, I felt like I did that. But recently, I wasn't gonna make another video like this. Um, I don't really want to make like commentary stuff really, but he's continued to do some questionable things, I believe, especially on Twitter. And I just wanted to talk about that. So in the time between when I last made the video and now, Young Don has attacked, I wouldn't say attacked, I guess, but Young Don has told Muslims that their religion is fake and why Christianity is the right religion. And he has said more transphobic and homophobic stuff, which all boiled over to yesterday, to where he just full on said the F word like twice, saying that he deleted the tweets, but he was like, oh, if you're gonna call me homophobic, I might as well just say, and I wasn't gonna like make another video about it. I wasn't gonna like say anything, but with how more in the deep end he's gone, I felt the need to say something else, So I'll kind of go over, what led up to this and the breakdown and yesterday's Twitter and what he's doing today and kind of what he does all the time. So another YouTube channel, Daft Pina, made a video on Young Don, going over stuff he said, stances he has, and kind of saying how problematic they were. He never finished a video in full. He got through about like 60% of it. I think that's what he tweeted. I don't know if he's ever gotten any further than that. I highly doubt that he wanted to watch the whole thing. But every point that was brought up against him, he would adamantly deny, saying that you took out of context clips and trying to like post him out of context. And as I said in my last video, I did a deep dive into his content. I watched a lot of his videos fully, and I disagreed with like pretty much every video that I watched, but I watched him in full. And after watching Daft Pina's video, I can really confidently say nothing was left out of context. You kind of make it clear your views and how you feel. There's nothing that they could have added to those like videos before or after. Maybe the animation videos, you can have an argument for that. But any videos from like his second channel, nothing's added out of context. Everything that's said is meant, and he makes those views known. That's not an issue. And after yesterday's like meltdown, he deleted a bunch of tweets, and then he kind of went through another tweeting spree today, that he kind of does a lot, where he like preaches about about Christianity hating gay people, not accepting of gay people, more stuff like that. Well, he went through another Twitter like tirade where he kind of goes on about this Christian anti-LGBTQ plus talks, really disrespecting those groups of people, and saying how he's anti them, and he'll say words like they're an abomination, And I think an issue there is that he'll preach how he doesn't hate them. He'll say how he doesn't like hate them, but people are saying that he hates them, but he never said that. But when you use words like abomination and comparing them to pedophiles, which he's done on his podcast, and making all these assumptions about them based on your religion, you kind of hate them. You kind of do. You don't like them, and when you use, those comparisons, those words, that's hate. You can't really fight that. But they will. His community will. And I guess one of my main issues coming through is that he has breeded this like community where everyone only ever gives him praise, only ever agrees with him, and no one ever challenges him on anything. And the people that do challenge him, he labels as haters, not his real fans, blah blah blah. When you surround yourself with people who only agree with you and only say that the stuff you're saying is correct, when no one ever checks you, or when people do check you, you don't really actually try and like listen and understand what they're saying. That's really toxic. That's beyond toxic, actually. And that's exactly what happens. You can see whenever someone has an opposing opinion, somebody makes a video about him, you'll see his community move to that comment section and just spread their hate, which is just really upsetting. Even streamers or YouTubers or people with like, most of the streamers or YouTubers, you say they have a more, I guess, direct connection with their fans than other, like, I guess, celebrity type people or people with a like fan base. Streamers and YouTubers really get that one-to-one like connection through like Twitter comment sections. They talk to their community a lot. There are content creators who are religious and you don't know, or aren't religious, but they'll be pretty adamant about telling their community, hey, like, don't go and like attack this person, don't go and say like anything to this person, or that's not spread hate, basically. And I've tried to watch. I've watched his videos. I haven't really sat through on a stream. I've watched, I'll like look at his tweets. I've never really seen him say like, hey, don't like mob up and go to another like person's like comments or whatever and say stuff to them, because that's not, it doesn't represent me. I don't spread that. I don't spread hate. He's never really said that. If he really feeds into it, because again, anyone that ever disagrees with him is a hater and whatever he'll say, which doesn't really help you as a person grow. It only makes things more toxic. And that kind of comes through with his when he quote unquote spreads and preaches his religion. Now I'm a non-denominational person. I believe in God. I went to a Catholic school from like elementary to middle school, and in those same times I would be going to a church 2 or 3 times a week outside of like the stuff we did in school. So I studied religion for a really long time. I really do understand where my place is with my relationship with God, and he does the opposite of anything I've ever learned or anything I've ever interpreted from my time just studying and reading. It's really concerning and upsetting about how much hate he actually spreads, and to me it's not in tune with anything that the Bible actually teaches. What I've come from my journey to learn is that, I'm just accepting of all people, even if I don't agree with their like belief system, or if I don't like believe in what they believe in. I'm accepting of them, and that's that. And I don't let like anything like that cloud my judgment. Let me think. What was I gonna do this? I'm very adamant about just being accepting and loving of all people, no matter where they come from. And that's just what I've learned from my years studying, and what I've come to realize in my relationship with God is that that's my, I guess, my big thing. That's one thing that I carry with me no matter what, is that it doesn't matter who they are or what they believe in or what they what they want to be. I'll be accepting, and I won't pass judgment. But that's not how Young Don operates. He really operates in a standpoint that makes me put off with a lot of religious people, and that anyone that doesn't see eye to eye with them or doesn't agree with their opinions on like religion, or let's say they don't believe in God, they're so hateful. And they take their religion and they radicalize it and use the Bible to instead of uplift and love and support and just be accepting, they use it to hate. They use scriptures to say, this is why my hate is justified. No hate is justified. And that's just something that I've come to learn, again, from my relationship and what I've learned from my interpretations. I don't like to talk about religion. I never really talked about it. I don't like to talk about other things, politics, but when I have someone who, and this is with a lot of people, but Young Don specifically, when you have someone that takes something that you believe in and a way of thinking that you learned from the same thing, and they take it to instead spread hate, it doesn't sit right with me. It makes me very disgusted how he uses it as a vehicle to spread hate, and then he mobilizes his community to spread the hate even more, and he never is genuine in having conversations with people, because to Young Don, he can never be wrong, and he is wrong on a lot of things, but he'll never ever hear that. And when he does hear it, they're just haters, and he won't listen to it. Which is why I don't, I've seen people say, oh yeah, like other people, other content creators, debate him. You should never ever debate Young Don. If you've seen him talk to people, he doesn't ever want to have an honest conversation. He just sits there and waits for you to finish talking, and then he goes on to his next point. He never wants to listen and digest and have an honest back and forth. That's not how he operates. So it's never in anyone's best interest to ever have a conversation with him. I guess in this last part, I was looking at some of his tweets on my screen here. I might just pop them up on here. One thing that stood out is he said, I don't regret anything I tweeted yesterday. I just didn't want to get banned on Twitter. I'm not sorry. I don't think I said anything bad. I don't care what those people think about me. Y'all are weird and do weird and hilarious things with your booties. Yeah. Very weird, because from language he said in other videos, basically, I think I talked about it in my other video where he mentioned I don't think I included this video because it got too long, but there's one video he was talking about, and he was talking about how he never mentions like girl on girl, like lesbian relationships. And when he does, he talks about in the past video, he's like, oh, you know, when you see them on the screen, it looks fucking hot or whatever. When you see two dudes kissing, it's disgusting. And I guess that sentiment is pushed here because you see he doesn't really have a problem with lesbian relationships. His only problem is with two men relationships or people who are trans. But his language, the way he says things, can lead me to that conclusion. Language is very important. How you say things and what you say are some of the most important things in life. It doesn't matter. And so when people get on here and say, oh, you know, you're just reading too deep, or like you're misinterpreting, or like whatever, you know, in some cases someone could be misinterpreted, but in other cases, if you look at the language, you know what he's trying to say, you know what he is saying. So it's really annoying when you see people say, oh, you're taking them out of context, or that's not what he meant. That's definitely what he meant. It's just that when I see something like that, you see it as justified. I see it as hate speech. And that's just that. And I think the coup de grace of sorts is when the last thing he says is, he said, went to church, told my pastor about the whole situation, gave me some good advice. So to my Christian followers, I'll make an effort to do better. The end. Okay. Aside from the fact that he preaches not speaking to others about your problems, you know, the pastor in that sense was giving him therapy. But he's supposed to be anti-therapy. There's a lot of holes in what he said. I just wanted to point that out. He's very anti-therapy, but he'll go to his pastor and have a therapy session so that he can figure out what to do. Again, coming from my background, it's all about peace, love, and positivity, and not using the scripture as a vehicle to drive more hate into the world. That's not what should be done. And that's exactly what he does, which is why I just adamantly disagree with a lot of what he says. And yeah, to wrap up, I think my biggest problem is that he comes off as a person who was lost, who like couldn't find footing in what they like want in their life. And when they did finally find footing in religion, they took it to the extreme and started like reading the scripture and trying to adamantly pass judgment and spread hate. The two things it teaches you not to do. And I just don't understand how we can come to that conclusion of you know, he puts up like 20 quotes a day from the Bible. How we can come to that conclusion if you're actually reading. You know, I don't see how you can read and see from what you're reading that, oh, you know, I should hate gay people, and I should, like, you know, use slurs that are very offensive to them, because who cares? They're gay, they're in the wrong, I'm justified. That's not how that works. That's never how that works. And it's, again, really upsetting to see someone who is supposedly believing in the same things I believe in, using it for hate and not for love and acceptance, and just looking to make society better as a whole. And it will never get to that stage because he sees these things as like abominations. We'll never get to a place of real acceptance with him because he sees the communities and the LGBTQ plus as like abominations. He think teaching people about them is an indoctrination. And he compares them to pedophilia, which is disgusting comparison, very disgusting comparison. But I think that's all I want to say here. I didn't really want to write anything down. I just kind of went and said, said what I was thinking. So yeah, have a good one.